Oh,
no,
you
there's
called?
a fly!
I saw that. Hi everyone, it's Adrian Pangilinan, and welcome back to Soul Supremacy, where we talk about all things unapologetic, all things passion, and in pursuit of. And speaking of all three of those, all of those three things, let's just pretend that I said that correctly. My guest over here is someone that I feel like truly exemplifies these qualities, and her name is Iya. Kapatid, how are you?
Hello! I'm good. How are you?
Okay, reshoot.
The struggle, man! The struggle!
Yeah. Yes, and actually, I'll try to repeat what I said because we had like connection issues, and my show is about being unapologetic, so we never shy away from telling the truth.
Ooh.
But she is someone that I actually just met recently, and she's already uh, earned my respect because of working with her through our kapatid Christopher Aguilar's Stand D, a play about not demystifying what help me out breaking the stigma. There you go, that was the log
Yes.
line. Breaking the stigma against mental health. There you go. And she played Stan's mom, and I was like, how old? I remember I asked you, I was like, how old are you? And then when she said
Yeah.
her age, I'm like, bruh, you're younger than me. Hella younger than me.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm sorry, we say that again?
Oh, did I lose you again? Oh, no, I was just gonna ask you, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah. I was like, oh no, but then it came back again. Yeah, I'm good, just trying to stay cool, trying to stay busy this summer. So,
I know.
yeah.
Both of us having hot girl summers. For me, the weather, but for her, it's literally her.
No!
she's the girl. She's like the girl in the hot girl summer, and I'm just the summer baby.
No! No, not even.
Oh look, there's a flag.
I
it's trying
know.
to,
Oh my
it's trying to
god.
make a guest appearance.
It's part of the hot girl summer vibe, They're like, me too, bitch. Oh, I'm like, can I even cuss here?
Yes. No.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
No.
okay,
No.
okay.
Yes. Oh no, you're good. Oh yes.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Actually, before we get started, I just want to say that this jewelry is sponsored by. Shut up! No, it's not. That's not.
I was about
Kidding.
to say, dang, okay, get
So,
that bag.
but actually, for little side notes, for anyone looking to have their stuff, have more like access, reach out to me. I'm looking for sponsors. You know, I mean, I think we all are with all the projects that we're creating, right?
Yeah, no, but definitely sponsor Adrian. Like, if you're not, then what are you doing?
Yes, give me new wardrobe. That's what I need for all the episodes because I was
Yes.
telling Ia that I didn't want to, as much as possible, like I'm a minimalist, so but I didn't want to wear the same outfits as much as possible. But let's see how long that goes. So, anywho, before we continue to get off on a
Oh my
tangent, like we
god,
were,
this fly. What the heck?
wait, where's the
Okay.
fly?
I don't know. Oh my god. Okay. We're fine. Oh my god,
Are you
it's okay.
good?
We're fine. We're good.
Okay, just let me know until you're not, and then
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, also our lovely guest over here, Ia, is an actor, a mover, a producer. She is a vice president for Philam Creative, and also, like what I mentioned earlier, thank you so much again for creating, that amazing programming, whole week programming of Philippine X Short Film Week, and also for having me be a part of it. This little potato that didn't think it could but did. Thank you. She is repped by Lang Talent Group. She is the owner, CEO of Hello Haya Shop, and then also is part of the collective for Self Control or Self CTRL dot collective. Kapatid.
I
What
know
else
you're
do
like,
you?
oof, that's a lot.
No, no, no. Well, I mean, just like me and a lot of the people actually who have like come and like taking the hot seat, a lot of them tend to be like kind of multi-hyphenated artists, because especially in our day and age now, you can't just be one thing. I mean, especially with the like what the pandemic showed us, it's like, I mean, sadly to say, for people that have lost their only jobs, their only source of income, because they felt like that was the only thing they could do and contribute to the world, then that kind of made all of us realize that we can't, we actually cannot just place all of our eggs in one
In one
basket.
basket. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. No, and yeah, I definitely feel that. And plus, like, I've always felt like I needed to just identify with, like, just as one thing, you know?
Mm,
But, you know, as
me
I've
too.
learned progressively more that, like, I could be both, you know, acting and I could be doing dancing as well and just do both. But yeah.
Yes, yeah, I. That's actually something that is excuse me. That is something that I didn't know about her until later on, because some of y'all may know, maybe a little bit of y'all know that like once upon a time I was also, no, I'm just kidding. At some point I was really active, in the dance community, being a dance artist. But like times change and we evolve and life took me here. But it's always nice to cross paths with people who also have the passion for moving their bodies. Like it says mover, and that's
Oh my God.
actually, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that is like a mature, like, thing to say about yourself, because I think growing up in general, like, yes, dancer is being a dancer is a dancer, but then I think when you start to identify yourself as a mover, then I think that's when you take it to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think part of it too is that when I was studying theater in college,
Mm.
I went to Cal State University Northridge, so just up here by the valley. Um, that's when I actually discovered movement theater,
Mm.
and you know, it's kind of like similar to dance, but it's also not at the same time. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how I found my niche and what I really, you know, wanted to work on was that combination of like movement, dance, and you know, and acting. So like, you know, definitely the term, you know, mover, like even I'm just like you know, I'm like, should I? Do I? But that's
Yes.
also, you know, but it's like, yeah, we, there's like a difference between all those things, and to brand yourself as a mover, it's also kind of, it's, what is it called? It's sometimes difficult to explain, but it's also very
Yes.
like, it's also very like, oh, sometimes you just gotta see it.
Yes. Yeah. And I also do think that it does come with its own like responsibility. I mean, also just like with any titles, right? But I think there's something
Yeah.
about like being a mover that's like, what does that mean? Like, and like what you're saying,
Yeah.
you do have to like be in a place where you can explain it, because, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Kapatid, so besides all of those titles, the hats that you wear, we're actually going to segue into the icebreaker questions, because I have some questions for you. So, my first one is, what are three things about you that people wouldn't normally know when they meet you for the first time?
So if you meet me for the first time, like here in America, you wouldn't think I'm fluent in Tagalog because of
Yes.
because of the way I talk. Yeah, I, you know, I traded in my, like I was talking to you earlier, my Filipino accent to a Valley Girl accent. No, but yeah,
Yeah.
people, most people wouldn't know that I'm actually fluent in Tagalog. Um, let's see, two more things. Um, I I like playing with makeup.
Mm.
You can kind of tell a little bit here. No, but yeah, like I do like playing with makeup, experimenting with makeup. But I see it more as just, you know, when I can't sleep at night. I'm just
Mm.
like, you know what? I can't sleep at night. Should I? I'm like, okay, whatever. Like sometimes I would literally paint myself like red, or I would paint myself like blue in the middle of the night because I just can't sleep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to think what else. I when you meet me for the first time, you probably can't tell that um I mean, I guess I'm a what is that called? This is gonna be weird.
It's
You
all
know
good. It's all
you
good.
know
This
when
is the
you
space
like
for you.
right? You know how typically they said there's two types of people in the world when you eat when people eat hamburgers. There's people that eat their hamburgers like when the circle's like right here, you just like eat it like down. I eat mine around, if that makes sense. You're just like, oh my god, girl. No, yeah.
All like this.
You eat it around so you save the middle part because that's the best part.
Oh, I think I remember hearing about that.
You're just like, girl, I don't know about that, but okay. No, I mean, I guess that's what you can't tell about me when you first meet me. I don't know.
There you go. Would you say that? Well, that actually that's a perfect segue to like the next question. What's your favorite food? Would you say that
Ooh.
hamburger? I don't know.
No, I think my favorite food, um, let me
Your
think, Korean
go-to
food. Korean food.
Korean food. What dish
Yeah.
in particular? Is
So
there?
other than Korean barbecue, I've really into I've really been into eating bosam. Do you know what bosam is?
That sounds familiar, but refresh my memory.
So it's like this. They boil, I think pork belly, or sometimes they do like I think, pork feet. I forgot, or beef
Uh-huh.
feet. I don't know, but usually like sometimes the one that I order is like pork belly. They boil it, but they
Mhm.
boil it with like different spices, and then
Mhm.
it's like it's basically like you get the lettuce, and then you put it there. You put like samjang, which is like some soybean paste, or like you put garlic, and then
Mm.
you eat it like that. Yeah.
Oh wow. I don't think I've tried it myself, but next time.
Ooh, I'm smelling. We're gonna go get some balsam.
Yes, yes, yes. When we finally meet in person, and you're not that far away.
Yeah.
Where are you in the world again? I know you briefly mentioned it earlier.
I live in Glendale, so I'm like
Okay,
near
Glendale.
Burbank,
Oh,
LA area.
oh yeah, oh yeah, girl, you close.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, uh, I'm gonna go with what is your dream role? Because I know that you're an actor, aspiring actress. What is
Yes.
one of your dream roles?
I'd say one of my dream roles. Um, so I'm like, oh, I actually have three dream roles.
Yeah.
So I I grew up watching sitcoms.
Oh,
So
me
the dream
too.
role, yeah, so the dream role would be, to book a sitcom and to be in a
Oh my
sitcom.
gosh, yes.
Yeah. And then other than that, I'm actually like a big fan of like thriller stuff and horror. So I do want to dip my
Oh.
feet in doing something that's relating to like a thriller or a horror. And let's see, I had one last thing. And of course, like I'm a nerd for superheroes. So
Mm,
of course would love to have a character that has like a superpower, try to
nice,
experience the fantasy.
nice. Yeah, I,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like all of those three things that you said really do. I see it, you know. And it's cool too because it does, I feel like it does help break the stereotypes of what you probably see in a person that looks like Ia, because thankfully too, like I like at least the first time, or at least looking at you, I definitely get a like a best friend role, which is good actually, but let's also try to like diversify that, and like make it more diverse. There you go. That's the only thing that came to mind.
Yeah,
Diverse.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. No, like I think you really touched, you really you said something about breaking the mold and like breaking, the stereotype because, as someone who is, Filipino American and, like Asian and,
Hmm.
let's face it, like your girl's not the thinnest, your girl's a little thicky, and you don't really see that too in mainstream media
Yeah.
other than people who are like I feel like other than the not like the known representation of like Asian Americans or the lack of representations of like Asian Americans, there's also a lack of representation of like plus size Asian Americans too. you
Yeah.
know I feel like
Yeah.
that's also something that like we also are needs to be said
Yes. Oh,
basically.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I'm sure you and also myself in some shape or way or aspect. I think that's why a lot of us do like to go in this field in the entertainment industry in some shape or way because we're not the kind of people to just wait for like change to see change or wait for change to happen. It's like we have to be the ones to always advocate for ourselves, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And growing up in the Philippines, like I, you know, I feel like you've also have had the sense of that of like really fighting for yourself and really fighting for your self-worth because moving here in
Mhm.
America, like I had nobody in the industry. Like my parents were the typical like engineering parents, and like my sisters, oh my god, the fly. But like no, like the typical, you know like
I thought that was
traditional
the
Filipino
thunder from
parent,
your superpower.
right?
I thought that was the
um
kidlat from your.
right, oh my god. Yeah. No, like I just think that like growing up in the Philippines and then going here, I feel like there's just a lot of things that you kind of just have to fight for yourself. And this, like you said, this is like one of those things. Like um if I'm like a baby in the industry, like
Oh,
I'm
same.
not
Yeah.
super well known of anything. And but your girl is trying and your girl is
Hmm.
working towards it. And like that's the thing, like you need to keep yourself accountable, you need to keep yourself motivated to just to do something for yourself, to push yourself forward. Because like at the end of the day, like yeah, it's great to have like your support, but ultimately you're the one who needs to push yourself to like really go for it.
Yeah. Yes, because if you can't, I mean, it's hard, and I'm sure people
It
that are
is.
watching, it's hard, but it's like it kind of sounds cliche, but like when you dream of something, it really has to like consume you in a way where it's what you eat and breathe because at the end of the day it's an extension of who you are, and like just being able to accept that you're gonna have to do whatever you're gonna have to do to make it happen. Like I think I was actually just listening to a podcast earlier, like why a lot of us admire celebrities is because we do see the glamour, we do see the glitz, but also if you think about it, they are also a representation of people who fought to make their dreams, or at least one
Yeah.
aspect of people who fought to make their dreams come true. So there
Yeah.
is that, and you'll get there. You will get there. I mean, your building blocks are already, chatted. So
We're trying. We're
yeah,
trying. We'll get there. Not just me. We'll get
yes,
there.
thank you. Y'all, so this is gonna be her first exclusive interview. So years later, when y'all,
Ooh.
when it happens, they'll trace it back to this interview.
Yes. I'll be like, oh, we got an Adrian exclusive.
From the janky from janky quality. It's
Oh,
okay.
the
We all
flies
start
running around here. Like,
we all start somewhere. Okay, kapatid, so I have my last question. So for this segment at least. So since you are a mover, it'll be really interesting to see what your take on this will be. So, my question is, so if Ia were to have her own TikTok dance challenge, what would
Ooh,
the first move look like? And you have to show us and describe it.
ooh, oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. If I were to make a TikTok dance, okay. So in terms of like contemporary, I'm very like I love hand movements. In terms of hip hop, I like to shake my butt. So I'm just like I'm trying to think. If I were to do a TikTok dance, and mm, let's see, I think I'm trying to think
What's the
because
what's the
like
first thing that comes to mind? What's your gut
first thing
telling
that
you?
comes to mind
Yes.
that tells me
If somebody were to push you on a dance cipher, what would be the first thing you do?
I think the first thing that I do would be okay. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, you know those TikTok dances? I'm gonna do it like side view. You know those TikTok dances where they go like they put their hand on the like their thigh and they like kick it back.
Oh,
I think that would be my first move. I think if you
yes, I
put me in the
love
middle, I'd be
it.
like, ooh, okay.
Is that called the donkey?
I don't know. I don't know if that's called a donkey, but I think that would be
My
my
friend
first
called it
move.
something. The
Oh yeah, I get it.
wait,
Yeah,
I the
the
ang tanda na natin.
oh my god, I know it. We're like, what is it called again? What are
Oh
the
my god.
kids calling it these days?
I should probably ask my sister. She'll know. But actually, for me, I can't do it too much because, or else I'm gonna disconnect myself from the audio like
Oh
I
my
did earlier.
god.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for answering. Do you know what? Okay, so just a little side note. So I just thought of this question just for the sake of like breaking the ice, right, between the
Uh-huh.
guest and myself. But then it like hit me a couple of days ago. I'm like, I should probably do something with all of the answers that were said, and I should probably put it all together and actually create like turn it into a chat, not a challenge, but actually combine it and turn it into something because everyone, like Charles Gray, people that you know, like everyone has said something different, and just kind of
Uh-huh.
like simply combining them, that'll be
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Ooh.
Y'all will have to tune in for season
Nice.
50. No, I'm just kidding. Season 50. Oh gosh. That's gonna be
I
like
believe it. I believe it.
25 years later. Just kidding. Hopefully. Thank you. Okay, also we made it. My segues are never seamless, but we will just roll with this. So thank you again, Kapatid, for taking the time to, just kind of kiki it with me and answering
Of
these fun
course.
questions. But we're gonna take a dip. Ow.
Ooh,
We're gonna take a huge
I
dip and
did.
actually get more to what, actually, for anyone that's watching whatever that move is, please comment, please tell us in the comment section because i'm I'm like my brain, it's not gonna stop wondering what it is. Okay, but going back to the interview, so my first question is, who is Ia?
You really hit it deep. Um. Well, so I'm like, how do I answer this? So I'll just say like, hi. My name is Ia, and
There you
um,
go.
yeah. So I mean, you already mentioned it before, but like, I I act, I dance, and I also have been getting into producing. I've produced a couple of shorts, and I've been dipping my feet more in that aspect of the industry, but also I've been trying to also hone in my craft more in terms of dancing and acting. Um, I would say if I were to get a quote on who I am, there's this quote that I really like. I think it's from Joan of Arc, But if I'm wrong, please be nice. But
Joan of Arc or Joan Rivers?
imagine I'm like,
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, by the way.
I know. No, but I believe it's Joan of Arc. It's the quote is, "I am not afraid. I was born to do this." So that's basically, if I were to talk about who I am, that's who I'm also trying to become. Because as a creative, I have, I have, what is that term? You get all these insecurities, and also that, oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on the term.
It's all
um
good. Synonyms? It's like,
I know, I'm like, um
antonyms? Opposite? Spell.
what is that called? It's when you think you don't belong here, or when you think you're not enough.
Oh.
I
Ooh.
forgot what it's called. There's like a term. There's like a term for it.
Comment section, help us out again.
Right? I know, like, comments like, please help your
That's the
girl
second
out.
one.
Right?
Yeah.
But what is it called? No, yeah. Like, so as as an actor or as an artist, I've always felt that, like, I, like, am I really supposed to be here? Like, is this what I should be doing? And mentally, it's very exhausting, and it's very
Imposter
draining.
syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. Yes.
Yes.
So that's what it is.
Okay. There you
So
go.
yeah, your girl has imposter syndrome, and like, having all those stuff, dealing with a lot of mentalness, and not mentalness, like, dealing with all those, like, things mentally.
Yes, yeah.
The person who I want to become is that quote. Like, I am not afraid. I was born to do this. So if I were to tell someone who I am, other than being that, that's the type of person that I want to be. To be that confident in my craft, to be the person who, really believes in themselves. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I think on the contrary to like confidence and imposter syndrome, I feel like a lot of times confidence is not about what we say, but it's really about what we do and what we keep doing. And also kind of relating it back to imposter syndrome, from what I've been learning from the podcast that I've really been like consuming about like self-improvement and raising your upper limit, is that it's actually very normal, and while at times it can feel very very like crippling, you know um it's actually there to help remind you that you are where you need to be, and that to basically keep you in check. Because I think the scariest thing in that is that moment that disappears, because then it's almost like, then what's your parang, what's that word called, kind of like your guide. It's your guide to remind you that you are passionate about it. Because if you weren't feeling some kind of way about what you love, and you feel like you feel nothing in terms of like all ego is out, then
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's actually a lot healthier than I think a lot of us really realize. And I think it's really about just the way we manage it. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, having the imposter syndrome, but also learning how to, you know, take from it and work on yourself more to where you want to be at, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you told me how old you are, but how old are you for those that
So I just turned 25.
you are a baby, okay? Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank
And
you.
you're a baby. In terms of like, because I remember when I turned 25, I probably felt the same way that you felt, of like, oh, quarter life, but
Yeah.
like I think a lot of us who've like been at that age really realize that that's really a lot of times where the growing starts to happen, like kind of, being molded into the person you will become. So it's very a very it's a very very it's definitely a very transformative year. But you're young, I'm young, and it's funny because I was just literally reflecting as like I feel like I do a lot of recently about how like the pressure to achieve so many things right away. But
Yes.
then again, when I
Yeah.
think about it, as much as our time here is very short,
Hmm.
we also have a lot of time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah. No.
we still have all the time of our own lifetimes to accomplish whatever we need to do instead of being caught in a rat race. It's kind
Yeah.
of constructed by society.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think I was actually just talking to my friends last night about this exact conversation. We were talking about how like cuz I always feel like I'm running out of time. Like I always feel like I don't have enough time to like do this and this and this and this. That's why I keep like, oh, I need to be this and this and this and this right away cuz I feel like I'm running out of time. And something that
Mm,
I need to work on, and really think about is that like I am young, and to be patient of growth, because it's the easiest thing for you to do is to compare yourself to other people. And
mhm,
that's also that's the easiest way for you to do, but that's also one of the most harmful things that you can do for yourself, because where you're at and where other people are at, you guys are not on the same, like like you guys aren't on the same part of your journey, basically.
mhm, yeah.
And for you to compare yourself to other people, it's gonna do more harm for you, because if they're more successful in the field that you want to be in, then yeah, it can be a motivation, but also it can be difficult for your mental health, because then you're going to be beating yourself up, like, why am I not like this person, like why am I not booking this, why am I not booking that, when we just need to really, like you said, do some self-reflection and really think
Mhm.
that, like, think about yourself, your growth, but just focus on yourself and not comparing yourself to other people, because we do have time. We just need to take a breath and just
Yeah. Yes,
yeah.
I mean, the fact that you said that definitely uh you know says a lot about you in terms of your maturity, because even though it's cliche, it's true, and that also we everyone has a place on the table, but we
Yeah.
have to get to that point of our maturity to recognize that this is not musical chairs. We're not trying to like steal the chair.
That's so
you know,
funny. That's such a good analogy for it. Yeah, that's not musical chairs.
yeah, like everyone has a spot on a table. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. Okay, kapatid. So my next question for you is, I know that I've rambled about it, but actually, it's some. I mean, for the most part, if I've met you, I like to ask that question, and l- try to ask it from your own perspective. So, how did we meet?
So we met at um our first
The
rehearsal
club.
for
The club.
the club,
Sorry.
right? We're like, ooh, what is it called? Even though I feel like if we meet at a club, we'd be partying it up.
We. This is what we'd be wearing ready. We're ready for the
I
club,
know,
y'all.
we're like, we're ready. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm dead. I'm probably your one of loudest guest ever.
And if we were to go to the club, I would never lose you because I'd hear you laugh in the
Right?
corner.
I would be
There
like,
she
oh my
is.
god.
She's okay.
You're like, oh, I can hear her. No, she's fine.
It's not a
um,
Pokemon.
right. No,
Oh,
but
just kidding.
we met at Chris Aguilar's rehearsals for his play Stand. I felt like I've okay, this is weird, because like you get those vibes from people that you just know that you'll vibe with instantly, and I feel like that was
Yeah.
the case with you. Like I feel like I was already gonna, like, like we were just gonna be like good friends, because I could just tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think thank you. to actually I think what it really could be is besides just kind of like the connection that we've built. I think a lot of it also has to do with um us being both immigrants, especially
Mm,
being born in the Philippines. I mean, from my experience, from my truth, there is something about like, people being born in the Philippines. It's almost like there's always that parang intrinsic connection that happens. It's like
yes.
magnetic. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you're here too. you
Yeah,
know
because it's like you already feel it without saying anything, that you're just like, oh, we understand. We understand each other.
yeah, it's a vibe, it's a mood that you just feel and
Yeah.
embody. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so my next question for you is it's funny, I feel like we've talked about so many things, but I'm like, I still like, we're still at the beginning. But it's okay, it's okay, I got this. Okay, so you you did mention several times that you immigrated here. Why is that? And also, if you don't mind, like, how was your experience like, especially with a melting pot? Because one of the things that stood out to me was when you quoted, quote unquote, said that you traded your Filipino accent for a Valley accent.
Yeah. A Valley Girl accent.
Yeah, take us through that journey.
So I moved here in 2009. Um, we moved here because, like any other Filipinos, we feel like there's just like way like so much better opportunities here in America. Um, and I think moving here, um, one of the things that I was very, surprising to me was like some of the culture. So I did get a lot of culture shock. When I moved here, I moved to like eighth grade.
I know. When I got
Like,
here, instant nosebleed. Mm.
right? You're just like, ugh. I think the culture shock is like the biggest thing, because coming from the Philippines, where the educational system, they're so strict. Like, so
Yeah.
strict. Like, you can't even have a boyfriend, even that has nothing to do with anything with the curriculum or anything. Like, you can't even have a boyfriend at school
Oh,
when you're
did
in
you go
like
to a
high
private
school.
school? Private Catholic
Um,
school?
I went to a private Catholic school, then I went to a public high school. It's weird because I actually finished first year high school in the Philippines, and then I moved here, and they put me in eighth grade.
Ah,
Yeah,
oh,
because
the same thing happened to me because I'm assuming it was the school year, like the way. When did you get here? What month?
March
Mm.
2000, March
9.
2009. I was about to say 19.
19.
2009. March, yeah, March 2009. I moved here,
That makes
um,
sense. Yeah.
and then I didn't even go to school until like the August September of like that year. Like, I
Oh,
didn't
really?
try. Yeah, I didn't go to school because like in the Philippines it's weird because ours before, I
June to
think they're trying
March.
to, yeah, I think they're trying to they tried to, or I think they have already shifted
Hmm.
school year. But typically in ours, like in the Philippines, the school is typically until like March, and then
Yes.
you go back to school in June, I believe, from what
Hmm.
I remember. So that's why
Oh, wait,
during that
in the
time
Philippines?
in the Philippines, yeah,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
June
So
to
then,
March. Yeah.
yeah, so then, going here, that's still towards the end of the semester, and it was just not going to make sense for me to go to school here, which is why we just waited until the next school year
Hmm.
to go to school, which I had like a
Hmm.
5 month summer, which I was like, okay,
Okay, lucky.
yeah,
When I got here, I actually repeated the same grade only for a couple months just to kind of like finish out the rest of.
yeah,
I got here in May, so I literally only repeated second grade
oh,
for like a couple months, like 2 months, and
yeah,
then the following school year, then I started third grade. But I had also
yeah,
finished second grade in the Philippines before I moved here. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because also in the Philippines before, I know they have it now, but we didn't have a middle school. So like
Mm.
after
Oh yeah,
after
we
it's
didn't.
weird because after elementary school, you go straight to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you think about it here in that sense, it's kind of like it's kind of weird, because you're like, oh my god, elementary school and then high school. Yeah, no, it's how it is in the Philippines before, and I know we just added like eighth grade and like middle school in the Philippines, but yeah, I got
Yeah.
here, put me in eighth grade. There was a lot of culture shock,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to basically just how people are here in
Mm.
America and compared to the Philippines. Um, and I'd say, you know, what kind of helped me to kind of like, I didn't even I didn't get rid of my accent intentionally. I think it just kind of disappeared because
Mm.
I went to school in Burbank. So there's not a lot of Filipinos in Burbank. And
Mm.
so constantly the only time that I'd be talking in Tagalog would just be at
Was that
home.
home?
Yeah, exactly. But like every day I would just be speaking in English, but also I started doing theater when I moved here. So then
Mm.
doing theater, doing all these plays, I think that definitely helped kind of get rid of it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
again, being in Burbank, Glendale area near the valley. So that's why the way
Oh
I
yeah.
speak now
You
is
are
like a
literally
sound
a
from the
valley.
valley.
You're literally a valley girl. That makes sense. Well, in terms of like where it
Yeah.
are you still in the valley? Is Burbank? Wait, oh, what you said you're in Glendale? Is that the
I'm
valley?
in
I don't.
Glendale. I don't think that's the valley, but
It's not
near
right.
the valley. Yeah, because I think considered the valley is like I think past Burbank, like
Okay.
like I'd say like Van Nuys, Panorama, Northridge area. I'd say would be the
Oh
valley,
wow.
but I'm not really like I'm not there geographically. So if I am in the valley, I guess I'm in the valley. No, but yeah, I don't think Glendale is technically in the valley.
Mm. How do you feel about yeah, like how do you or have you ever I'm just curious, coming from one immigrant to another. Well, uh, have you ever had the opportunity to kind of like reflect on your experiences with the melting pot, being inside the pot as it was happening?
Um, yes. So I've you know when actually um when I moved here too, like
Mhm.
they were saying, "Oh, I love your accent." When I was speaking in English, and
Like
I
with
would
the Tagalog.
with the Tagalog. Yeah, when I was like
Oh.
speaking in English with the Tagalog, and I was so confused. I was like, "What accent?" I'm like, and they were just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
your Asian accent," and I was like, "Oh, I have an Asian accent." And I from there on I kind of had that sense of like, oh, like the
I'm
like I really
different.
felt, like, oh, I'm different. But also what I knew that I was also trying to do is like, um I wanted to really try to connect like the small amount of Filipinos that did go to my school. I did want to try to like connect with them and just so that I have it's different still,
Hmm.
when you move to a different country, of course you're going to gravitate towards the type of
uh,
people that you feel the most comfortable
Survival,
with.
belonging, like
Yeah,
belonging is really
exactly.
big. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I was fortunate enough that I made friends that were Filipinos in school, and but not just that, but I think in terms of like experiencing the melting pot, I when I moved to America, I was not aware of a lot of people's cultures.
Mm.
So moving here, I had experienced like learning about other people's culture and meeting different types of people because in the
Mhm.
Philippines,
We're just
it's
one.
it's just Filipinos, and
For the
then
most part, yeah.
exactly, and then occasionally you'll meet someone who's Chinese, or you'll meet someone who's
Who's
from
puti, white,
Dubai.
tourist.
Yeah, or like, yeah, tourists, but never really like had the opportunity to really have friends that are of different culture. So when I moved
Mhm.
here, that really I really like that, of like learning about other people's culture. And like,
Mhm.
when I moved here, I didn't even know like Armenians. Like I didn't know that there were Armenians that lived in Armenia, because
Yeah.
like I didn't even know about that, because you don't really learn that type of history in the Philippines. Like you don't learn about other
Yeah.
people's
We kind of
cultures. Like
live
I
in our
didn't
own
know
bubble.
exactly. Like I didn't know Hmong, like Laotian people.
Yes, yes,
Like I
yeah.
didn't know about,
That there are different. There are many, many, many different kinds of Asians.
exactly. Like yeah, and yeah, I didn't know, but I'm super thankful that, when I moved here I was able to learn about these different cultures, because I love learning
Mm,
about cultures.
nice. Okay, so it does sound like you were able to definitely make peace with the chapter. With embracing this chapter of your life. And
Yeah,
okay.
but I would say though, I think moving here, I don't know why,
Mhm.
but I did also have that sense of, I want to get rid of some of my Filipino-ness when I moved here in
Why is that?
America.
I'm curious.
I'm not sure. I think it's because, you know, the way we grew up in the Philippines,
Yes,
there's
actually,
this
please talk
Euro,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, there's this Eurocentrism type of like appeal to people. So the whiter
Hmm.
your skin
The
is,
taller you
the
are.
taller you are, the skinnier you are, the pointier your nose is. That's what's considered beautiful. And
Mhm.
so moving here in America, like I'm neither. I'm like none of the above.
Mm.
um, so moving here, I felt like I needed to assimilate, and I needed to
Wow.
change who I was to so that I could fit in. Because again, like
Mm.
Burbank is predominantly like white. So I felt like I needed to assimilate, lose a little bit of my culture just so I can fit in, you
Wow.
know? But
That's
it's
powerful.
weird because growing up, obviously, like as I've matured, I've learned how much of like how much I love my culture and how much I should be embracing my culture. And which is why, like, when I was in college, I got involved to like Filipino clubs, and even doing like a Filipino cultural night, and like,
Mm.
you know yeah, basically reconnecting a lot of my culture, because it was kind of instilled in me that the more white, like the more Eurocentristic I am, the more like the higher I am, or like the better I am as like a
Mm.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting that you mentioned that, because even though a lot of times it is unspoken, you feel the the hierarchy of like things,
Yeah.
especially in that way. And um I think it's sad, but at the same time, I think our generation, thank God, we're so woke, and the future generations to come down, we have been working on dismantling, that term, dismantling those kind of super old ways of
Yeah.
thinking, because I mean, like if you look at the fashion industry, like you've never seen like so much opportunities for like anything else besides like skinny models. There's like a
Yeah.
market for everyone, and I think in due time, um that we will all get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
hopefully.
I
Okay.
know, hopefully. No, but I think we are making good strides. Like a lot of
Mhm.
people now, like you said, generationally, which is true. Like a lot of people now are, opening up to more open-minded things, like in the Philippines. But, I think um it wasn't last year because we were in quarantine last year. I think 2 years ago now, at Asian World Film Festival, Drama, your other guest
Yes,
before,
recent guest.
your recent guest, he spoke about something when he was talking about his film In This Family. He said something that kind of really stuck to me. That like us Filipinos, we have a lot of things that we need to unlearn and relearn, and that's true. You know, we do have a lot of stigmas that we need to like get rid of. We have a lot of like, a lot of crab mentality and just, things that we could be better of in terms of like the way we think and perceive things.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Um, yeah. Hi, drama.
Right? Shout out to
Yes,
drama.
I know we love drama. Another kapatid who was born in the Philippines, moved here, paved
Yes.
his own, really paved, So yeah, he's definitely someone that I like also look up to and respect in terms of like not only being Filipino but being in this field as well. So
Yeah.
um actually that relates me to my next question. Like how did you get into acting? Like what was that moment for you that like you realized that oh I'm interested in this? And then also if you could maybe explain to in like what also made you decide to pursue this in college? Because as we all know, being Filipinos and pursuing an arts degree, have to have the conversation. So, if you can
Yes.
take us through this journey.
Yeah. So I think I was really interested in performing like earlier on as a kid. I think my first love was dancing. So I danced a lot in schools, like in like recognition day, or like we have like um the United Nations Day. I don't know if you ever did that in the Philippines, but um
I think I did it
yeah.
once.
Yeah, but
Maybe. I remember singing like the Jubilee song and I was like placed in center front, which I didn't realize was like such an
yes.
important place to be. I was like, okay. I thought it was because of my height.
Yes, no, like, girl, they put you in front for a reason. um, yeah, no, like I, my first love was dancing, so that's
Hmm.
where I had, you know, I felt how it is to perform,
Hmm.
and watching TV shows growing up, watching all these things, I've always been super, super interested in trying my hand in acting. But when I was a kid,
Yeah.
like I've told my parents, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to act. I want to do this. And they were a little bit against it because they were just like, oh, you're too young. You need to focus on school. You need to focus on studies.
Hmm.
That should be your focus. So there
Hmm.
were like some opportunities that popped up, even when I lived in the Philippines, but like couldn't do it because they really believed that I really needed to focus on studies first. And I think my number one motivation, to, that number one thing that really drives me is I I want to be, like, okay, when you watch a show and
Hmm.
you get so invested in it that even if it's like the villain, you're like, oh fuck her, like, oh my god, she's so annoying, but like
But then
that
you
person
Google
made you
her
feel
after.
something. Right. But then that person made you feel something and made you like interested and made you invested in the
Hmm.
story. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like what I my goal is as an actor, is to be that outlet to someone. Because
Mm.
like, as is, how I think it's so evident that you know when we went to quarantine, when we were staying indoors, when we couldn't leave, what was the one thing that
Yeah.
people turned to? Like TV. Everybody was just
Yeah.
watching TV, everybody was watching this, watching that. And that's what I want to do. I want to be the outlet to
Mm.
people, that when they watch it, I get them to, really be super invested in the story. And like, other than that, just like telling those stories too.
Mm.
Um, and that's really why I really wanted to be an actress, and that's kind of like the goal. um
Nice.
and as you know, it's not easy to have that conversation with the parents. um
Parentals.
right.
Yeah. Water break.
I know, I'm like, oh, I'm choking a little bit. um
It's
I
okay.
think so, like, I'm the youngest. I have two older sisters. I think for me, what helped is that My oldest sister, she's a doctor. My other sister works in accounting, like in taxes and accounting in downtown. And then there's me.
There you go.
So
Full
I feel like
variety of a platter.
I feel like
The
my parents
sisterata. Shut
already
up.
I feel like my parents already had the, what they wanted from them.
Yeah, someone to
But
satisfy their
right,
expectations.
exactly. But I think it's also because I'm just so passionate about what I do that they kind of see that this is what I want to do. I feel like, being in this industry, you have to wear so many different types of hats, and you're doing so many
Mm-hmm.
different types of projects. You're just doing a lot of different other shit. And
Yeah.
I think my parents don't necessarily understand what I do, but all they know that this is the industry that I wanted to be in. Um, I think it was definitely not easy. I didn't, you know, it even went to my head in college because I actually didn't, my undergrad, I
Mm-hmm.
actually didn't have my bachelor's degree in like film.
Mm-hmm.
I actually graduated with a communication studies degree.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I minored in theater with a focus on acting and directing. But in terms of film and television and all that stuff, it's more like um learning, kind of like learning by myself, and just learning whenever I'm on set, and like watching people, watching how things go, watching the flow of things and how people are, and kind of just teaching myself those things. So I think, um yeah, definitely was not, you know, in my mind to fully study theater or like fully study film in college, because it was already instilled in my head that I'm like, no, you can't major in that. You can't major in that. Even
Yeah.
though there wasn't a lot of pressure for me to be, you know, to be like a certain type, but like there was that pressure in my mind that was instilled in my head
Mm-hmm.
to be like, no, like you're crazy if you're gonna, if you're gonna fucking have like a degree in theater or like a degree in whatever, which obviously it's really not, but
Mm-hmm.
it was just the way I was brought up to think that way, which kind of
Mm-hmm.
sucked because going back,
Mm-hmm.
if I were to go to college, go back to college, not go back right now, but to go back when I was choosing
Mm-hmm.
my major,
Mm-hmm.
definitely would have been like all out. I'll do film, I'll do theater,
Mm-hmm.
sucks. I should have been more confident in my decision making. But you know what? Communication studies also comes in handy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Actually, what you just said in that was very, very powerful. Like that moment of reflection that you had to say that if you had the opportunity to go back in time, that you would maybe kick yourself in the ass and be like, "Hey, you actually got this," and like give
yeah.
yourself a little nudge, and be like, "You can do this. Just believe in
Yeah.
yourself." Which I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
is, which is also like, which I feel like is a device that is deserving to be like shared, for anyone that's thinking about this, because that's actually, and it's funny because I wasn't even trying to segue, it just gonna happen, but what would actually be
Ooh.
some advices that you would give, because you're actually I think you're one of my first, because you're so young, in comparison to the people that I've interviewed, what, like, both in age and also in like age in industry, like what you said, you're a baby, I'm a baby.
Yeah.
um Being someone that is still currently in the process of forging for their path and making their dreams come true, for anyone that's tuning in, like, I guess what you would say, the past Ia. There you go. Like what would you basically tell your 3 to 5 year old self at that moment, where, like, like what you said, like if you got to go back in time, I do
Yeah.
things differently. What other things would you tell your younger self?
I would tell myself to, you know, follow your gut, to trust in your ability, everything happens for a reason. Like, you know, all of the cliches, like everything happens for a reason. You might not see it now, but
Mhm.
you'll know everything happens for a reason, and to just trust the process.
Mm,
That's
nice.
what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean I agree that while that does sound super cliche, it's cliche for a reason because it's
Exactly.
really it's pretty true. It's
Yeah.
really, really true. And kind of while like, 29 now, turning 30 in March, kind of I'm learning, still learning that listening to your gut is really important because if you don't listen to it now, it will figure out a way to let you know by making you miserable after. It's
Yes.
gonna be like, why didn't you listen to me, huh? You're gonna be stuck in
Oh,
a job.
that's so
You're not gonna
true.
listen to me now. Follow for what you want to do in your life. Okay, we're gonna give you a
Yeah.
job. You're gonna be miserable, and you're gonna find out why sooner
Yeah.
than later. But don't say that I
Yeah.
didn't tell you so. You know, I didn't warn you. I didn't try to
Definitely.
guide you. But
Yeah.
at the same time too, like we also have to recognize that is its own journey to getting there. Like we're
Exactly.
not perfect. We're only human. In
Yeah.
terms of like we have to be able to get our feet dirty. We do have to be able to go through struggles in our lives to make
Exactly.
sense of what is really meant for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
like the diamond. Like, you
Yeah.
have to be able to carve out the diamond. It's not just gonna be like instantly shiny,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta work through it, you know? Like, even,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like, just to get in that mindset, or just to get in that, like, to understand the concept of that in itself is a journey in itself. you
Mm-hmm.
know it's like you will go through so many things in your life that it's just not going to make sense at the time, but
Yeah.
essentially it's kind of just like how you form, or you get, you know you mold into who you are.
Mm-hmm. Like a butterfly, like metamorphosis. Like in the end, even though some parts of our lives may feel like you're not gonna be able to get through it, we will,
Yeah.
and it will just really make us stronger. That's what it is. Be more resilient, be
Yeah,
more durable. You know, um, yeah. Wow, deep.
I know, we're like, thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
With Tito Boy and Chrissy. Shut up.
Oh my god, I mean, I'm as loud as her, so might as well.
Yeah, and I'm almost as bald as Tito Boy.
No.
You know what? Okay, so actually, I have one more question before our Wow, this interview kind of went like all over the place, but it also went seamlessly at the same time. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, okay, I'm listening, I'm listening. Let me navigate, according to what you're openly and kindly sharing with us. So, what are what can we look forward, like what are some of the exciting projects that you're doing, like where, and or also like your dreams, like where do you want all of this to go? I think that's a better question. Where do you want all of this to go?
Hmm. I I really want.
Or you feel like there you go, because that kind of sounds like a hard question. Where do
I
you
know. I
feel
was
like you
like,
want this to go?
how do I? I know. Like, um. Well, like, ultimately, I do want to tell stories, meaningful
Mhm.
stories. Um. Not just in, you know in acting, but also in things that I would produce.
Mm.
And it can be like a meaningful story, it can be like a funny story, it can be like anything, but I think ultimately I do want to tell stories, whether it's through acting, producing, dancing, or moving. That's kind of the goal. I think
Nice.
I started my journey with incorporating my love for movement theater, for acting, and also for film when
Mm-hmm.
I produced my short film, To the Voice Inside, which is, which we were in the
Wasn't that the
same
one?
day.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Weren't we back to back? Oh wait, no, wait.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
we
We were,
were.
we were, we
We were back
were.
to back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that
were
was
back to
beautiful. I
back.
was like, yeah.
Thank
As a fellow mover, I did
you.
really appreciate that. And actually, I was gonna say too, that was really, um, well, smart, but also just kind of like the way, just I guess, just kind of organically decided
Yeah,
to combine your different like loves and passions and niche yourself into who you are and will eventually become,
yeah,
kind of a
yeah,
master storyteller using the formats of movement as a
yeah.
catalyst, to drive the story forward. There you go. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Continue,
Yeah, yeah,
madame.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
That's where I kind of
Mm,
started to kind of experiment on what I kind of wanted to do. So we actually, for that particular piece, I already knew I wanted to be like a movement experimental piece,
yeah.
and like one of the projects that I'm currently developing right now is another short film.
Mm.
It's called Trying to Be Okay,
Ooh.
and this is a little bit more talking about the stories of grief and trying to be
Mm,
okay through a narrative but also
mm,
through movement. So I've you know this is a little bit more narrative heavier than To the Voice Inside, and I'm
yeah.
super excited to work on it because I'm like as a producer, you as a baby producer, I feel like I
Young
know what
producer.
I right as a
Young.
baby producer, as like a oh my god, I just realized what baby producer sounds like. So as a young producer, um I think
Oh, I
I'm
just got that too.
as a young producer, I still haven't. I feel like I still haven't had found my rhythm
Mm,
and
I get
like the
that. Yeah.
specific thing that I want to do
Same. Yeah.
really. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm still really experimenting more on like the different things that I want to try to produce. And I'm oh my god, this fly because all my windows are open because it's so hot.
It's hot.
Um,
Yeah.
what is it
It
called?
it's probably a sign
Um,
too. The flies.
right.
It's
I'm
like
like, I swear I took a shower today. I'm like, I don't understand. Oh, okay. So, anyways, um, yeah, I'm very fortunate enough that
mhm,
Self Control Collective is a collective that I have with my friends that we formed because we want to tell our stories the way we want to tell them, and that's why
mhm,
we're called Self Control because we are a group of like Asian Americans and people of color who's trying to navigate in this industry and we're all trying to find our footing in this industry, and this is a way for us to
mhm.
you know to express all of
Cope
that.
and
And
yeah.
exactly, and I'm super thankful that I'm working with my friends on all these projects because they're um you know would we kind of have like the same goals and the same things that we want to do, and tell all of these stories in like different perspective, and they're always super down. Like every time I'm
Mm,
like, oh, I have a thing, maybe we should do, they're always like, okay, well, I don't know if that'll work, but we'll try. But yeah, I'm
that's the
I'm just super
best.
thankful for them. Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
best when
super
you
thankful
just
for
have
my
like,
friends.
yeah, like friends, like support system, people around you that are
Yeah,
just willing to like show up with you, even if it's gonna be messy, uncertain, you
yeah,
don't know what it's gonna look like, but
yeah, exactly.
that's
Yeah,
actually
no,
when the best art is made. It's like when you like get
yeah.
super raw and vulnerable and just kind of like be in that flow state of like, I'm gonna show up because this is what it feels. It feels good to me. This is an extension of myself
Yeah.
giving back out to the world. Literally like this circle that I'm doing, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm super fortunate enough, like shout out to them for, my team,
Mm,
Kirby, Francisco, Dom, my friend Dom,
mm,
and Rose. Like they've been super wonderful, and all of them are super talented in their own respective fields. and we're all just trying to navigate and trying to like pave our way, but we will get there. But yeah, just
Yeah.
super thankful for all of them. That's what to expect from me. And I've also been, other than that project, you know, you've interviewed Charles Gray, so I've always wanted to collaborate with
Yes.
Charles
Oh, me
and
too.
Ronnie
Mm.
Canieso. So I've also been trying. I think we're trying to see what other stories we can also um, try to develop. Short film wise. So
Yes.
um, yeah, so there's like some stuff going up, and we're gonna collaborate in the
Yes, I was
future.
gonna say too.
So
Yes, there's
we're
something
gonna
like I feel like you and I
collaborate.
are literally like the same person.
We're literally on the same wavelength. We're literally
Yes,
like cut
especially
from the
creatively.
same
Um,
cloth.
yeah, yes, exactly. Especially in terms of like our love for movement and film
Exactly.
and combining. The fact that our short
Yeah,
films were like placed next to each other. I was like, okay.
I
Yes.
know. I'm just like, oh, yeah. Like, I was actually able to, because since I introduced that block for Mix TV, I
Okay.
watched,
I
I
love the
watched all the
titles, by
short
the way.
films.
The titles for
Yeah.
each of the days. That was good. I was
Shout out
like,
to Charles Gray. Yeah, he came up with the titles,
yeah.
and we
Episode two,
literally
by the way,
were.
of the podcast.
Yeah.
Y'all tune in.
Yes, plug.
Go back.
Yeah. Yeah, he was able to, he brought us in, but he already had this idea, and he
Yeah.
already kind of also had the idea of which short films he wanted to be in like different blocks. And
Hmm.
we just had to, you know I watched like everything on my block so that I would be able to properly introduce that block.
That was
And
so
and
good.
when I watched yours, let me just say, I was like, yes, yes, abstract, yes,
I'll take it.
movement. I was just like, okay, Adrian,
Color, seductive. I
color.
was just like, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, I want to work with you on
Likewise.
something. Yeah, we
Yes,
can.
it doesn't just have to be dance. I'm like narrative to actually.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
There's enough that loud. Let me get my words. Intersectionalities between you and
Yes.
I that there's so many different opportunities for us to collaborate together. And you
Yes,
know what? To
definitely.
the thing that I wanted to say about like with you just kind of like collaborating and getting your feet even more into the water, that's the way to do it actually. Like
Yeah.
if there was like a formula for success, which we all know there's not, besides just
Yeah, no.
doing, it's actually collaborating with other people, because that's how you grow, not just grow
Exactly.
in product but also grow by experience and your network and your wisdom, you know
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely like your experience and just learning through the process of different artists too. Because there's so
Hmm.
many things you can learn just by watching how other people direct, how other people act. Like,
Yeah.
like you can definitely learn so many things, just by
Hmm.
observing and watching.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. So our kapatid over here just dropped so much balot, charot. Eggs of nuggets, actually nuggets of wisdom over here. And for someone to be as young as she is, young in age, and also even being relatively, as she said, being young in the industry, the fact that she's been able to share so much of her like knowledge and experiences with us, it's just really telling to how far she will go and also the impact that she will make in
You're
this
too
industry. Now, of course,
nice.
ay, nagsa-segue. No, sure, lang, hindi.
Right?
No, but
I'm
no,
just like, ang haba ng hair ko.
yes, and it's hot, and we're both wearing black.
Yeah.
No, but real talk though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super grateful that her and I got to have this conversation, because
Yeah.
we've actually been trying to set up a time to actually just talk and kind of get to know each other, and just happened to be that it ended up being in my podcast, which I think was perfect. Kapatid, I have one final question for you before we
Yes.
end the show. Okay, so my closing, it sounded like I was ready to cuss. I was like, I tried to say
I was like,
final, but then I was like, I tried to say final, but then I said closing. I was like, my
oh,
closing.
that could be your what is it called? Your clickbait. You going, and then I'm like,
No, I already have it. It's you fixing your boob.
oh my
I'm
god, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Okay, kapatid. So my final question for you is, um, what is the legacy? What is your legacy that you would like to leave behind?
Oof. The legacy that I would leave behind. Um, I'm
You
like,
would
I can't.
like to feel it doesn't have to be just like one thing, but maybe what you feel like, what that thing could, yeah, that makes sense.
That could be. Oof. I'm like, oh, can I call a friend? I'm kidding.
Yes, go
um,
ahead.
um,
Call, what's your collective called again?
self control.
Call Self Control Collective, line one.
I think the legacy that I would want would be, by the way, these are all good questions. That's why I have to really think about it, because your questions are all very like thought provoking and really making me think, versus like other questions that are very just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is my answer,
Thank
so
you.
just saying, great
Thank you. It's
question.
okay too. You can take your time to think too.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I know, I'm
you
like,
know?
um I I do want to, you know, I do want to, as ironic as it is that, when I mentioned earlier how
Mhm.
when I moved to America, I wanted to kind of strip away, um, being Filipino so I could assimilate here. As like my legacy, I do want to be known as a Filipina artist. And I do want to represent, you know, Filipinos and, you know, growing up in the Philippines, if you told me, where I'm at right now is where I'm at, like I wouldn't even be thinking that that's possible, because we grow up thinking we need to be nurses, we need to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, that being in the industry was just not something that's so like, this is what I'm going to do.
Possible. Hmm.
Exactly. So, as a legacy, I do want to be, really known as a Filipino American, or just Filipino actor and producer and mover. I guess.
Mm.
I think that's,
Mogul.
storytelling, storyteller.
Yes.
Goddess, I'm kidding. No,
There you go.
I
Add that
do.
in there.
I do
Golden
wanna.
Goddess.
Yeah, but also I'm like, I can answer this, in like in a serious way, but also in a more uplifting side. I want to
Yeah.
be, if I were to leave a legacy, it would be Iya Baklagan. She got a lot on her plate, but she a good eater.
Ooh. And she managed to balance it out like this. Give
Right?
big plate.
No.
I go like this.
Right? You're just like, girl.
It's
No,
actually
but
kind of me
yeah.
sometimes when I do my Uber Eats. I'm like, actually, yesterday, just on a side note, I had like a big order from Red Robin.
Yeah.
Thank God the cute guy helped me out. But I was
Ooh.
like, how do I carry this? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk to my car. It was hot, so I was struggling. But you like literally make lemonades with the lemons that's been ground. So
Right, but
yeah,
it's so funny because when you have to lift something hard, all the feminism in my body just leaves and go, help.
yeah.
No, but
Claim it out there,
seriously though,
sis.
yeah. No, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's, I do want to be known as a
Mm.
Filipino artist. So
There you go. Yes, yeah. Put it out there, and it's already out there. It's already happening. It's being made. You are already it by what you're doing. So thank you for answering that. I like actually thank you also for pointing out that a lot of my questions aren't actually like they're actually very thought provoking, because
yeah,
that's the idea to really
yeah, of
like
course.
squeeze out
Yeah,
your
exactly.
truth.
Exactly. And that's how you get stories or you have people to talk when you have very great, questions, and not just questions that
Oh,
are just
thank
like,
you.
you know,
Also with
yeah.
great guests too. So
Oh, I'm kidding.
yeah. Kapatid, I know that you kind of shared what you were like possibly working on, but is there
Mhm.
anything else that you would like to share? This is the time to plug, actually. Where can people find you?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram. Whoever's using Facebook, I'm on Facebook still. If you guys want to connect to
Everyone,
Facebook,
everyone still uses Facebook.
LinkedIn. I'm like everywhere. No, but you guys can follow me on my Instagram at Iya Iyaah. I know it's very maarte of me, but yeah,
Oh, it's
you
all
can
good. It's
also
okay. It'll be on the
follow.
show notes. Wow, show
Yes,
notes.
yes, yes,
Show
yes.
notes.
Wow, professional.
Yes, now.
What is it called? Yeah, so you can follow me on my personal Instagram, which is at Iyaah. You can
Mhm.
follow my shop at Hello Haya Shop on Instagram, and also my collective is at Self Control Collective, and the control is spelled CTRL. Also, again, very maarte. um, I'm on TikTok too. You won't expect a lot of content, but I mostly do makeup stuff on my
Mm.
TikTok, and just a lot of hedassery and just whatever. So if you want to follow me on TikTok, it's at Eo Baklagan. Um, yeah, that's basically it. I'm not super active on like Twitter or anything,
Oh,
but
me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You guys want to add me everywhere else? I'm on Clubhouse too. I don't really use Clubhouse. I don't know how to use Clubhouse, but
I'm
I'm
back on
there.
Clubhouse. You know, actually, when you get the chance, I think Clubhouse is actually something that you probably like. If you have like, I know you're busy, but if you have time to like listen to people talk and like meet
Yeah.
people there, that's actually the best place to meet people, like industry people.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
why I've had like guests, like that's where a lot of my guests came, like a few of my
Ah,
guests came from, was meeting them through
yeah.
Clubhouse. You know,
Nice. Yeah.
but
Then I'll be active on Clubhouse.
there you go. There you go. She rebuted what she said earlier. And
Yeah.
she rested
Scratch
her
that.
case.
Scratch that. Add me on Clubhouse.
Y'all look by the end of the episode, our hair looked completely
Oh my
looked
god.
different.
I literally have been like,
You went from like
yeah.
poofy to like 80s to 90s. I went from like
Oh my
a
god.
like a Mexican Latino kind of to like
No, like it's because of the heat, man. Like
I
it's just,
know.
I'm just, yeah. At
But it's
least,
okay.
at
I
least the
actually
flies
like
are
this.
gone.
Yeah. Y'all, so
Yeah,
we officially made it. How do you feel? How do you feel with that we made it
I
to
feel
the end?
great. I was definitely really nervous because this is the first time I'm actually on the other side of the table, because I'm used to be the one either like interviewing
On
someone
my
or
team.
like talking to someone. So it's I was very nervous, but you did a really good job with making me feel welcome, making me making this great safe space to share. Yeah, so I feel
Thank
super great,
you.
super happy. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is really one of my main motivations for creating this show is to highlight people that I feel like that really should be highlighted and like I feel like it's always the same kinds of people that always get the same recognition, even on a micro level. And I'm like, what about the other people along with them that are also dope and creating things?
I
But
feel
it's like,
that.
you know what I mean? So really thank you for first of all making the time, showing up to be here and showing up with your journey, because at some point someone's gonna look at this and be like, if she can do it, I can maybe do it too, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank
that's the
you. So
dream.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, we made it to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. And this is Soul Supremacy, where we did talk about all things unapologetic, all things passion, and in pursuit of. And we will see you next Friday with our next guest, whoever that is. That'll be a surprise. Bye, y'all. Thank you, Ia. Thank you, love. Say bye.
Bye. Thank you.
This podcast show is a product of Studio Penguino. For more information about advertising, please visit www.adrianpenguino.com.